The Northeast United States offers great habitats for bald eagles and great places to observe them, as evidenced by these images and video from the Bashakill Wildlife Management Area in southeastern New York, the 6.5 Station Orange County Audubon Society Sanctuary in southeastern New York, and along the Delaware River between New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Here are a few thoughts on these bald eagles in autumn of 2025. At 6.5 Station, one might think this would not be a place to observe bald eagles, given how hot and dry the second half of the year 2025 has been. The water levels in this wetland are very low. However, there still are fish, such as carp, as evidenced here, and bald eagles can prey on other food items, such as waterfowl. One can occasionally observe bald eagles hunting waterfowl, and when an eagle flies overhead, many waterfowl will suddenly take off and flee the area. That is actually evidenced here because Canada geese are in the background flying away as this bald eagle flew overhead. Note that this eagle was probably 4 years old, given that it has a white head and tail, but there is still brown coloration in the tail feathers, which will not be fully white until next year. At the Bashakill, 5 bald eagles, 2 pairs of mature adults and 1 immature, were observed in close proximity to each other. What were they doing? Were they migrating through our area in southeastern New York, or will they remain all winter? The answer may be a mix of both of these. Bald eagles from the northern U.S. and Canada do migrate south to avoid the frozen waters of the north, but they may settle in this area, especially along the Delaware and Hudson rivers. The bald eagles, which spent their summers and perhaps raised young in this area of the Northeast, may remain all winter, especially if the winter is mild, or they may migrate farther south until March when they return to this area. Not only is eagle behavior difficult to predict given this pattern of partial migration, the variables of a warming planet due to climate change and the prolonged dry conditions of 2025, which removed much of the wetland habitat, are additional variables which may affect this behavior. Finally, a few notes inspired by these bald eagles on the Endangered Species Act. Only a few decades ago, it was virtually impossible to observe bald eagles in the wild in most areas of the United States east of the Mississippi River. Thanks to the Endangered Species Act, the populations of this iconic symbol of the United States have rebounded to the point where bald eagles are no longer classified as endangered. Despite the success of the Endangered Species Act and the protections that it offers to wildlife and wild habitats, in 2025, the government has proposed changes which would severely weaken this landmark environmental law by no longer considering habitat change or habitat destruction as, quote, harm to a species, redefining how critical habitat is defined, which will reduce the number of protected areas, reducing protections for threatened species, making it harder to add new species to the endangered list, and opening protected land to additional grazing, drilling, and mining. This is evidence that progress in protecting endangered species can be reversed, and that individuals who care about the environment should contact their representatives and ask them to vote to protect wild spaces and wildlife.